Welcome back to Vikes with a Mic. As always, your host JC here with my co-host and good buddy Tyler. And let's just get right into it.
Yep.
The Vikings beat Detroit.
Beat.
I don't know if they won, but they beat them on the scoreboard. Yep. So your Vikings beat the Detroit Lions at home. It's kind of final score of 19-17 on a last second 54-yard game-winning field goal. Greg Joseph. Boy, is there a lot to get into with this game. I am blown away by how atrocious this Vikings team looked on Sunday. And what sucks is it wasn't atrocious necessarily in the, normal sense that we talk about or that we seem to talk about every week. It was the lack of aggressiveness on offense, the lack of allowing big time plays at the end of the game on defense when you know that that's all that they're going to be, trying to do. Just overall, a lot to be worried about, I think, coming out of this win, which is really hard to talk about when you get in the win column and then you have to talk about a bunch of negative things.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like a win, this game, in my opinion. This is like the win that just doesn't feel like it at all. I don't feel like, by the way we played in that fourth quarter, we deserved to win this football game. We just gave Detroit a chance. We just let them hang around. It's like, hey, we feel bad for you guys. Let's just let you hang around in this game. And we did that. We could have put this team away by so much. We should have won this game by 20-plus points easily. This Detroit team isn't a good football team. We just let them hang around.
Yeah, and, I do want to say right off the bat, before we get, too deep into this thing, right? It's two NFL teams. The Detroit Lions, even though they are not a good NFL team, they are a winless NFL team. They are still an NFL team. Okay, this isn't like college football. This is truly the NFL where it is any given Sunday. Every single guy out on that field is a professional, and there are thousands and thousands of great football players out there that don't ever get to step foot on an NFL field because they just can't hack it. So any of these guys, any day of the week, can turn into superstars. Nobody is going to argue with that. But with how banged up Detroit was, and the fact that Minnesota knew that this was not only a divisional game at home, but kind of a must-win, get-right game.
Right.
I was really, really disappointed with the overall preparedness and the overall attack plan that we had. More specifically on offense than defense, because I think a majority of the game our defense held up and our offense just didn't take advantage. And we'll get into that as we kind of break down each side of the ball here. But yeah, this is one of those like very few times where you're going to see kind of more stern faces, especially if you're watching the YouTube video, like, not a bunch of excitement on our faces when you're talking about a Vikings victory. So definitely rough in that sense. But let's flip it.
Yep.
Your Vikings are 2-3. Okay, we're getting back on track. And if you want to call this exactly what it was, a get-right game, technically in the NFL, it's 1 week at a time, right? So now if you're the players, you look at this game as, hey, we just beat another NFL team, a game that we absolutely needed to win. We did it on a game-winning field goal, so we know that we can do that. We know that we have the power to drive down the field and score these game-winning moments. And you take that momentum and you use it for next week going up against Carolina at Carolina, and then hopefully you're 500 at the bye week. You get to get healthy, all that good stuff.
That's the end goal for the bye week, in my opinion. This Carolina game is huge for sure. I mean, 3-3 going in the bye week with the schedule they've played is tough. So if you do go 3-3, I think that's huge for this football team.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't get any easier after
Exactly.
Carolina either. It
Yep.
gets arguably much harder, actually. But let's dive into all three phases of
Right.
this football game for the Minnesota Vikings. So normally we've been starting on offense. I want to change it up here
Okay.
and start on defense with the
Okay.
Minnesota Vikings. So
Yeah.
a majority of this game, the defense plays pretty well. Remember, the Vikings are up 13-6 going into halftime. So your team hasn't given up a touchdown. They come out in the third quarter, hold the Detroit Lions to 0, okay? And then practically fall apart in the fourth quarter, at the end of the fourth quarter, I should say, too. Now, the reason I want to make that very clear is because the Minnesota Vikings defense was not put in any sort of good position by the Vikings offense at the end of the fourth quarter. So their demise and the way that they fell apart at the end of the game cannot really be put purely on them. When you have a fumble recovery deep in your own territory that you have to then come out on the field and, try and stand up with only 20 some yards to go in a one-score possession. I think that we're not giving this Vikings defense as much props as they deserve, especially these last couple weeks. You look at Cleveland too, only holding them to 14 points. It's really, for me, the lack of aggressiveness on offense, which again, we will break down every side of the ball here, so we'll get into that. But I want to make that very clear. I was overall pretty happy with the Vikings defense. They did exactly what they needed to do. They didn't let Detroit get big plays down the field in the passing game. They kind of let themselves self-destruct, basically. Take what the defense gave them, and eventually those plays are going to not be able to work. You're going to miss on one or two of those, and they're not going to be able to hit.
Yeah, Jared Goff didn't have a clean game at all, in my opinion. Some of the throws he made were terrible, and it was due to the pressure our defensive line. I thought Everson Griffin looked phenomenal. Danielle Hunter is doing his thing every single week, getting to the quarterback. Our defensive line looked really good. Some of the coverage by Rashad Breeland, and he didn't look very good, but I thought Patrick Peterson had a solid game, actually, as well.
And I actually think Rashad Breeland played one of his better games. He was rallying the tackles very well. The coverage overall was much better in this game than it has been any week before.
Yeah, he's got to get up to that standard, though. You know what I mean?
He's got to play a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah,
he's too off the ball. Way too off the ball.
I thought Eric Kendricks played absolutely phenomenal in this game, flying around, making plays.
That one-handed interception was one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a long time from a Vikings.
After having his worst game of the year last week, I feel like this game was a perfect bounce-back game for him. He looked phenomenal, man. He was hitting every hole, making all the tackles. I mean, that's just Eric Kendricks that we expect every week, and the dude was just making plays, man. Making absolute plays.
Yeah, and actually, another player on the defensive side of the ball that really stood out to me and had a fantastic game was Everson Griffin. Back-to-back sacks in a really big part of the game where Detroit.
That spin move, man. That spin move just had me.
He just looked so good.
Man. Throwing it back to 2017. My God. That's what you love to see.
Patterson has got to be so pleased with getting him back. He has turned him back very close into what he was before he left Minnesota, and he did not look like that player even remotely when he was in Dallas and in Detroit. So both those guys have to be very happy. Like I said, overall, defensively, I was pretty dang happy with what the Vikings did a majority of this game, especially when they were put in positions to succeed, which is exactly what you expect, right? Complementary football. That's what coaches around the league preach consistently.
In the end, this defense gave this offense a ton of chances to go out there and put up a ton of points. They gave this team a chance to win, and that's all you can ask for your defense in the NFL. And that's what they've done. They've been doing it a lot this season. I mean, maybe the Arizona game was the only game that they played really bad. I mean, that's all I'm going to say.
I wouldn't even say that. Like, I truly believe if you watch the tape with the Arizona game, it's not that they're playing bad. It's that they had a game plan for shutting down Kyler Murray, and they made
It's just
him make
hard.
as many mistakes as you possibly could. It's just that
Yeah.
Kyler Murray is an MVP level guy. And sometimes when a play breaks down and you have an offense like that that can just change once a play breaks down, you're going to get beat. You've done
Yep.
everything correctly, and you just kind of got to chalk it up to, well, we did everything right. So for us, that's a moral win, on the defensive side of the ball. And you put yourself, you put your offense in a position at the end of that game to win.
Yeah. The defensive line, it just starts with them. I feel like they've done a phenomenal job this year compared to last year. Just our corners have played better because of it. Our linebackers have had holes to make tackles now. Everything is the defensive line has changed the narrative with this defense overall. So yeah, I think they play great, especially this game.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I was a little unhappy with the run game, and by a little I mean quite unhappy with the run game. But
Yeah.
you have a guy like Michael Pierce that's out. He's going to be week to week for a while, and I'm not really sure organizationally what the whole plan with that is or what their thoughts on that were, because he's not on IR, so they
Right.
obviously aren't expecting him to go on very long. So perhaps game planning wise, that got a little goofed up. And then you got a guy like Anthony Barr who came in, he played the entire game after basically missing a year and a half of football. And he talked about it in his post-game interview. I don't know if it was post-game. Either way, it was one of the interviews recently that he's had where he basically talked about how he felt like crap, like a majority of the game. Like he felt like his body was going to explode, but he played through the pain. And I didn't notice him in a negative sense very often, so that's good. I also didn't notice him in a super positive sense.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, having one of your linebackers out there who's trying to get back into game shape is going to hurt your run defense if he's not hitting the right gaps or he's not playing as fast as he normally is. So I think this next week against Carolina, especially if run CMC is good to go, is going to be one of, if not the biggest run challenges that this defense has faced it this year. And it's going to really determine the outcome of the game, basically.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about the defense. In the end, again, you put your offense in a position to win the game, and they actually come through this time. So let's switch sides and let's go to the offense now.
Yeah.
Mike Zimmer gets fired if the offense does not put up more points than Detroit does. Doesn't matter what the defense does. We've already established the defense put them in a position to score way more than what they did. But if Mike Zimmer does not finish this game with his team having the larger score and getting in the win column, he is not a head coach by the time the clock strikes. What time did the game get over? Like 3-something, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
He's still not the head coach at that point. So lucky for him, the Vikings somehow find a way to put up a measly 19 points against this horrendous Lions team. There's so many issues that I have. And you know what sucks? The biggest scapegoat that Zimmer and Clint and this Vikings offense has 99% of the time is the offensive line. And the offensive line only gave up like 9 pressures in total. Rashad Hill gave up a sack, I think. But he was switching in and out with Christian Darrisaw between different drives of the game, which we'll get into a little bit. But your offensive line played fairly well. They weren't getting dominated at all. The pass protection was there consistently. This falls on Clint Kubiak and Zimmer, in my opinion, because Clint is calling the offense. I have no doubt in my mind that Zimmer is not freaking having anything to do as far as the actual every play call of
Yep.
each drive. But Zimmer is the head coach and therefore has the authority to say, hey, this next drive, I want you to run more. Hey, this next drive, I want you to pass more. Look for this situation, Clint, and do this in that situation. And Clint has to follow those instructions. So, number one, absolutely, I think this is on Clint. He was not nearly as aggressive. I don't know why we were running the ball as much as we were when we averaged less than 3 yards per carry in this entire game. That is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And JJ had the best first half that he's had in a long time. He was getting whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. We were not throwing the ball downfield. Adam Thielen looked like crap. And you have one of the best deep passers ever in Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry, I'll let you talk now.
They were playing a lot of man coverage on the outside, one-on-ones with JJ. And I mean, we kept attacking it, but we got to get Adam Thielen more targets as well. I mean, I think only had 3 targets in the entire game. Like, why aren't we taking more shots down the field against this weakened secondary? Like you said, they were banged up coming into this game, especially their defense. They had a ton of guys out, too, on defense. So
their
why aren't we like...
secondary had 3 undrafted rookies starting.
Like, that's what I don't get. Like, if they're going to stop our run game, change it up with the passing game, because they clearly weren't stopping us on our guys on the outside. I mean, KJ needs to be getting more targets in this game as well. I mean, there wasn't many balls thrown to him either, in my opinion. Like, I don't get what we're doing with that, you know?
So I think the biggest thing that this all comes down to for me, right, is if somebody's listening right now and they're like, JC, Tyler, man, you guys aren't in the room. Shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea how to read schemes or read defenses at an NFL level. You have no idea what it's like to be an offensive coordinator. To you, I say, yeah, you're right. I've never been actually in that position. But what I can tell you is this, and this is true, and you cannot argue with this. At the end of the first half, by the way, shout out to at Luke Braun, NFL, the guy who hosts Locked On Vikings. He was the one who brought this to my attention. And I think this is a really great example as to the issue that I have with the coaching staff right now. At the end of the first half, the Vikings get the ball with 37 seconds and 2 timeouts. Keep that in mind as I keep going.
Yep.
Now, we start out the drive with a run. Gross. I hate that. What the heck? Anyways, Zimmer was asked about this decision after the game, and he basically said, the reason we ran was to see if we got yards. If we got a good chunk of yards with that first run, then we would get up to the line and we would try and get down the field. Now, I think that there's something wrong with purely saying that like running is bad and passing is good. I definitely don't want to get my words or my ideas misconstrued for saying that, because there are ways to disguise runs that get you really great yardage. But your draw play right up the middle in a situation like that, where it's very obvious to a defense that that's on the board for just running out the clock, that's not going to get you any yards. There's no situation in which that is going to work, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I would argue that any NFL defensive coordinator, assistant coach, whatever, anybody who has any dealings with that high up of a scenario would argue the exact same thing. So we ended up running the clock out. Sure, we were going to get the ball in the second half, but you basically give up on an opportunity to get 3 points. JC, why do you say that you give up on an opportunity to get 3 points? Nothing is for sure in the NFL. You're right. Nothing is for sure in the NFL, except that at the end of the second half, after the Lions have everything go their way, and
they take the lead.
They get in the end zone, they get the 2-point conversion, and they take the lead. The Vikings have how many seconds on the clock, Tyler?
Was it 34?
37. 37.
Yeah.
And how many timeouts left on the clock, Tyler?
Two.
Yes. 37 seconds and 2 timeouts. The exact same scenario that they had at the end of the first half. And what do? They drive down the field and they kick a game-winning field goal. No wonder Kirk Cousins is getting in Zimmer's face at the end of the game. These guys on the field know what they are capable of, and it's the coaching and the decision-making, and that comes from the top down, that is stifling this offense and not allowing it to be what it can be. They could have had, at the very least, another 3 points, which leads to a situation in which this whole game doesn't end the way that it does because we won by 2. So that's my biggest example. And the reason that it's so poignant is because this is just one that was so eye-opening for many Vikings fans. And I think that there's a lot of situations that have happened similarly this year that we just don't realize because we're not down on the sidelines. We're not in the assistant coaching booth. We're not in the huddle. So I can only imagine how many freaking times something like this has happened where it's been like, we're just going to try this. And if it pops, instead of we're going to do this and we're going to make it pop and we're going to drive down because we know we have the firepower and the willpower to do so. What are your thoughts on the Vikings?
I mean, you have Kirk Cousins, who's been performing very well this season, in my opinion, and you're just not going to let him cook and throw the ball. You paid this dude a ton of money. Why aren't you letting him take chances down the field? I mean, you have 2 timeouts. That's plenty of time. I mean, you've seen Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I'm not saying Kirk Cousins on the same level, but I mean, Kirk Cousins he's close. I mean, he's probably borderline top 10 quarterback. You paid him a lot of money.
He's top 3 right now in the league. He's the 3rd best quarterback right now in the NFL.
Yeah. So far this season.
That's what he's playing.
At the level he's playing at right now, though, yes. I mean, you can't just give up and just take away 3 points. Trust your offense, trust your team, go out there and execute. You can do it. You have Kirk Cousins, you have Adam Thielen, you have Justin Jefferson, you have KJ Osborne. There's plenty of weapons on this team. There's no excuses to not try and get points on the board in a situation like that. That's just inexcusable. Just more baffling things to me is the situations that we're calling some of these plays, 3rd and 20, for example, where we just run a screen pass that doesn't go anywhere. You can tell it's scripted already. Like, throw the ball past the sticks. Like, a 3rd and 20 screen doesn't do you anything. It's just like you're giving up. You know what I mean? Like, you have Kirk Cousins. He's got a good arm. Take a chance down the field. Like, don't just throw a 3rd and 20 screen that's going to get blown up. That doesn't make sense to me.
Situational awareness, right? That's the biggest thing. When you look at coaching, because another great point to what you're getting at is the Alexander Madison fumble, right? He's running on, I can't exactly remember. I want to say it was like 3rd and 7 or something like that. They're running. And that run, if you look at the film, it's designed to hit a gap that's more on the inside. But for some reason, and this is because of coaching, it's because he obviously doesn't understand the situation, which is something that is coached into players. Alexander Madison decides, I'm going to bounce this out. So at the very least, he's trying to get extra yards. If not, get to the sideline, which arguably he steps out of bounds. So you're not even trying to run the clock at that point. You're potentially stopping the clock. But he gets stopped at the line of scrimmage and he starts fighting for extra yards. In that scenario, with the clock at close to 2 minutes, you cannot fight for extra yards. You have to go down immediately. Just stay down.
Ball security.
Let the clock run. Let the
ball
clock
security.
Run.
Yeah.
Want the ball. You cannot do that. And what happens? He fights for extra yards, gets the ball punched out.
Yep.
And the Lions go on
the Vikings football.
Yep. That's Vikings football. And I think overall, something that fans will understand, no matter their level of understanding of football or of any sport for that matter, and I think something that you can really relate to too, Tyler, as somebody who is currently taking part in organized sports, coming from somebody who hasn't for years now. Players know and can feel when a coach is playing to not lose versus playing to
Right.
win.
Yep.
There is such a difference in the and then from there it translates. It goes straight on down. It goes to the assistant coaches, and then it goes to the players, and then it goes to the product on the field. And that's exactly what happened on Sunday. Mike Zimmer and his crew were playing not to lose because they knew if they lost this game, it wouldn't even be a hot seat. That seat would have turned into molten lava, and they would be completely engulfed. So that is the difference, and that is why it's really hard for me to see a scenario in which the Vikings win a championship under Mike Zimmer.
Yeah.
If you have a coach that will not go out, especially against a team like this, and say, boys, we're playing to win. We're going to play this Detroit team as if they were the Kansas City freaking Chiefs, as if they were the Buffalo Bills, as if they were insert powerhouse here. If you are not doing that, if you are just saying, boys, we got the Detroit Lions, this is a big divisional game. We got to win this one. Definitely don't want to lose it. If we lose it, then basically our season's over. If that's the kind of message that you're sending and the type of product you're putting out on field, get the heck out of my state. Get the heck out of my football team, man. I do not want you at the center of making decisions. So, luckily, I think a lot has come to light. I think a lot of this stuff has been discussed, and I think a lot of people within the organization feel the exact same way. So I truly do expect there to be at least an opportunity for a change against Carolina in the coming week. I only hope that we see that change moving forward because I like Zimmer. I like all these guys. And I only say what I say because it comes from a point of passion. And I know you're the exact same way, Tyler.
Exactly.
The exact same way.
Exactly, yeah. You just want to see this team because this team has talent on this roster. I want to see this team play it. Yep. I want to see this team play at its absolute best because we know they're capable of good things. We know this is a capable football team. It's whether they're being put in the right spots, in the right situations at the right times. And so far this year, especially this last game, they have not been. And we know that they can be because this team has high expectations. This is a good football team at its best. We know that. The players on this roster are good players. They have experience. We've seen them. We know what this team is capable of.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. So my final thoughts basically on the offense are way more aggressive. We need to be way, way, way more aggressive. I don't care if Dalvin Cook is not playing. I don't care if Justin Jefferson's not playing. I don't care if Adam Thielen's not playing. If you have Kirk Cousins and you have the pocket that he had last week, which really quick, by the way, Christian Darrisaw looked fantastic. 99% of the snaps that he played were 1,000% better than Rashad Hill.
Oh my God, because he wasn't put on his butt. He wasn't put on his butt.
No, he planted well.
Oh my God.
He had cement for legs a majority of the time.
Exactly. He wasn't put on the ground 4 times like Rashad Hill was in Cleveland. Then once the first rep he came back out in this game, he gets put on his butt. Like what?
Exactly. So we don't have a ton of time to touch on it, but basically I will be shocked if Christian Darrisaw doesn't make the start at left tackle coming up here against Carolina. I think Rashad Hill, that was his final shot, and I'm okay with it because I think that Kirk Cousins is now going to have probably an average of about 3.5 to 4 seconds to throw this football. And I'm really excited to see what he can do if he's allowed the opportunity. So Kirk Cousins, I love your fire. The altercation that they got into with him at the end of the game, not even that it was necessarily an altercation, just the kind of, I think the fire and the aggressiveness that Zimmer in his post-press conference said that he was looking for from Kirk, kind of just caught Zimmer off guard, I think. But that's the type of Kirk that I want to see. Like that.
We've been saying that since last year. We've talked about this on this podcast before about that.
We've been saying that forever. Whether or not it's been recorded and put out, like you and I have been talking about that since he, started for us basically the first couple of games. So yeah, I mean that's the Kirk Cousins though that's gonna win us a Super Bowl. That's the Kirk Cousins that
Yep.
can win you a Super Bowl in spite of the coaching. And I know that's like a really hot take because a lot of people don't see Kirk Cousins as a guy who can come up in big moments. He just proved he can.
Yeah.
He just proved. And we finally got the field goal. We finally did the last.
Oh, right.
Because Kirk did it against the Bengals week 1, but
He did it
Dalvin
against the
fumbled
Cardinals.
ball. He
He
did
did
it
it
against
against
the
the Cardinals.
Cardinals, but
Yeah.
Greg Joseph missed the kick. Anyways, to wrap up my thoughts, and if you have anything else to say, by all means. This offense just needs to be more aggressive. Our coaches need to be more trusting of the players and allow them to do what they want to do. Because I happen to I just know, you can just tell that guys like JJ, guys like Adam and Kirk and Dalvin, because I expect him to be out here against Carolina this week, they're going to want play calls that are aggressive, that get this offense down the field, that, freaking inject some juice into this Minnesota team. And when you have a defense that's playing at the level they have been these last couple of weeks, it excites me. So hopefully we got you with the clickbait and the baiting of the emotions, because I don't think I'm as angry or as sad or as worried as a lot of other people are making it out to be, or as I even maybe tried to make it out to be in the beginning. Because I really do believe that they're going to shape up here, and that was a get right game. How about you? Any last thoughts on the Vikings offense?
Yeah, I love what you bring up about trusting the players. These guys are good players. Put them in their strengths. Let Kirk unleash, man. We want to see angry Kirk, and that's him just slinging the football. I'm not saying throwing it 50 times, but I'm saying having a good balance, not just running into a wall every time on first down. That just doesn't make sense. Start with a play action, mix it up a little bit, change up your play sequence, run the ball on first down, pass it on first. You don't have to play action it every time, you know what I mean, on first down, because I feel like every time we pass on first down, it's always a play action. Come out in the shotgun and throw the ball if you have to on first down. Change it up, man.
Show your cards, as far as I'm concerned. Do a spread formation and just get these guys one-on-one. Show them that you're better than them.
Yeah, just unleash everything. Make the defense not expect anything that's coming at them. Make them expect nothing. Just they don't know what's coming and what's hitting at them, because there's so many weapons on this offense that we can be utilizing in so many ways, but we just don't. We just run an under center, hand off to Madison up the middle on first down, and teams just expect it once they see it. Come out of the huddle, so because it's been on tape. I mean, we've been doing it since the start of the season. We've been doing it since last year.
Yeah, exactly.
But just one more critique. That direct snap or whatever that was when Kirk, you know what play I'm talking about, where he did that thing and then Madison direct snap.
The fake over.
I don't mind that play call, but in the scenario they run that on a 3rd and 5, I think they ran it on a 3rd down. That made no sense. Don't run that on a 3rd down. You're not fooling anybody with that.
You could do that on a first down and probably get 20.
Yeah, you do it on a first or second down on a 2nd and short. I like that. Not on a 3rd and 5 when it's just, you're not fooling anybody with that, in my opinion.
I'm glad that you brought that up, though, because it kind of does go back to what I said a while ago, right? That whole idea of I don't want this rant on offense and this rant on being more aggressive and being more trusting of our players to be pass the ball, don't run the ball. Passing is good, running is bad. That's not it, because you and I just said, that's a running, no doubt that's a running play, right? Alexander Madison's not going to throw that ball, but that's a really creative way to run the ball. That's a really amazing way to catch the defense off guard and get potentially a really good chunky yards running the ball. So, sorry, I didn't want to hijack your thought, but I wanted to make a lot of people get that, mixed up, and I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, that's just all I had to say. Wasn't a huge fan of the scenario calling it, but I do like the creativeness. I think you call it on a 1st or 2nd down, you're going to fool the defense. They're not going to expect something like that. But on a 3rd down where you're just trying to get the first down, don't run that, because you're basically giving up, especially if it doesn't go well.
So. Yes, absolutely. All right, and the last side of the ball, the 3rd and final, is special teams. Now, I don't have much to say about punting. I love you, Barry. Just keep not
Hey,
making
man.
mistakes.
I think he's
Not
looking
making
better than
mistakes.
Skull Quit, in my opinion. In my opinion, he's been a lot better than Skull Quit. Just keep doing your thing, Jordan. If we
Yes,
don't talk about
exactly.
you a lot, like you're doing your job. Jordan
Yes.
Berry's been doing his job, and that's all we ask for the man.
Yeah.
For the
The
brand,
only
just keep making these punts, man. You're doing your job.
only time you should ever hear us compliment or talk about Jordan Berry in any sense will hopefully be complimenting him, like pinning somebody at the 1 yard line or
Right.
like doing like one of those double kicks that Seattle had.
Yeah.
But Greg Joseph, I think we would be remiss if we did not talk about Greg Joseph because a lot of Vikings fans were at his neck after week 2. And then, he's made some other ones that have been pretty amazing, and he's missed some other ones that have been pretty yikes. And in this game, he had ups and downs, or should I say downs and ups, because he didn't have enough leg on a 49-yarder.
Yeah, that's just the only thing I don't understand. In an indoor stadium, and you're an NFL kicker, how do you not have enough leg on a 49-yard kick?
So,
that's typical Vikings kicking kind of thing moment,
I totally hear you. I just don't want to get too negative because I really do feel like that 54-yarder at the end coming out with Zim's job on the line, Human's job on the line. Potentially knowing that, seriously, he's a smart guy. These guys, these players, they know, they maybe even know better than any of us. And then not to mention Greg's job on the line. Let's be honest. If you miss that kick, you might stay for the rest of the year, but you're not going to get re-signed. Nope. Chance. For all of that to be on the line and for it to be 54, well, really more 54 and a half, closer to 55. For it to be that booming of a kick after missing from 49, just not having enough leg, and for him to make it and to make it with change, it was deep enough.
Yep.
I am so happy for him, and I'm happy for this Vikings team because I really, really hope that that's confidence that he can take and build on, because Carolina could easily be one of those games where it comes down to something like that. Very easily could come down to another kick. And Greg, at some point this season, most likely will have to come out and make another huge kick.
Definitely.
To win a game. Just knowing this team from what we've seen, it's already happened a couple times. So, I thought we would be remiss if we didn't say anything, because I'm really happy for the guy, and I hope that he keeps up this confidence and keeps up.
I just watching that moment, I looked away and I'm like, we're not doing this again. This isn't happening.
Oh my
this
God.
Is about happening again. And then I look and he makes it. And I'm like, wow, we somehow just won this game. I couldn't believe it, man. It's crazy.
I went up to one of the fans at the game, and I was like, hey, do you mind if I watch this with you? And he looked at me and he was like, Of course you can watch this with us. You need to be in here. We need all the luck we can get. So we kind of looked at each other and kind of gave that I don't know look that I think a bunch of Minnesota fans gave. And then when it went through, the amount of jubilee, in that stadium was pretty awesome. Even if it was the Detroit Lions, it was still a really great moment.
Right.
So quickly, that's all that we have as far as the Lions game goes. I think we should transition now, get into the Carolina game. Obviously, not a ton to talk about, but we'll do what we do weekly, and that is our key to the game. What is the key to going to Carolina this week and beating the Carolina Panthers, especially after this last Sunday?
I would have to say probably our offense getting off to a hot start in this game. Stepping on Carolina's neck right off the rip and showing them no mercy. I love saying that line, but
I love it.
Just shove it down this team's throat. They've had the last 2 demoralizing losses to the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles on their home turf last week. They're motivated to come out and play well in this last game. of the last game, their homestand. But let's just shove it down their throat, man. I mean, I think we're the better football team than Carolina. I think our offense can put up points on this defense, and it's whether our coaches let our offense unleashed because we got the players on this team. If our offense puts up a ton of points in this game, like I'm saying, like 30 plus, I think we win this game pretty easily. I trust our defense to make plays. The offense just got to come up throwing off rip, man. I think, especially if I expect Dalvin Cook to play. I wouldn't say they'll probably split carries with Madison and Cook a little bit because he'll be a little bit limbering off the ankle. But come out throwing, man. Let Kirk unleash. Let him keep throwing the ball down the field. Take shots, man. Let's get rid of this aggressive garbage. I mean, this non-aggressive garbage that we've been doing this last game. Get rid of it. Throw it away. I'm done with that. We've got the weapons. Let's just unleash them, man. We can beat this kid on the team.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I think it plays into what I'm going to say. And I think the key to beating Carolina is game management, situational management. I think this is all going to come down to the coaching. You have a guy in Mike Zimmer who has consistently proven that it's a 50-50 coin toss. He's either going to get it right or he's going to get it horribly wrong. He's coming off a game where I would say he got it horribly wrong. So, and people were talking about him still being fired after we won. You know what I mean? Like there are a lot of people that are still calling for his head even after we won. So this is a huge game for the coaching. And what I think that plays into is it plays into Clint Kubiak, like you said, being more aggressive with his play calls.
Yeah.
With Mike Zimmer, it plays into how are you preparing this team going into this game? Are you doing exactly what we said earlier? Are you just playing to not lose, or are you playing and preparing as if you were going to face off against Kansas City, Buffalo, those type of powerhouses? If that's what you're doing, then I totally agree. You should come out, you should beat this team handedly, you should score plenty of points, and you should play excellent on defense, even if it is an away game. But man, oh man, if the coaching doesn't get right, it's all over. So that is the biggest key, I think, to this game is how Mike Zimmer responds to his players and how he instructs his assistant coaches and his players. So we shall see. Do you have a score prediction for me?
Oh, God. Whew, this is a tough game for me to pick this week, man. Oh, I've been going back and forth. I'm going to go 26-24 Vikings. 26-24 Vikings. I think we squeak her out. I think it's
interesting.
Our defense makes a stand at the end of the game on a fourth down. They're trying to still get in field goal range, and our linebacker swats the ball down on a fourth down, and that ends the game. We take the knee.
Eric Kendricks in Dallas vibes. Is that what you're giving me?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
26-24 Vikes. I think we barely squeak her out, but it's a big win.
I'll be honest. I got 28-21 Carolina.
Okay.
I have Carolina
I don't hate
this
it.
game. And I even
I
think
hate it,
that the Vikings
respect
touchdown that brings it up to 21, I think it might even happen in garbage time. I think there's a really good chance that Carolina, from a true NFL perspective, beats us handedly, even if the score doesn't show that in the end. I really want the Vikings to prove me wrong, but something about the way that we won this week, it's going to take every leader in that organization right now to make sure that this is a week by week season.
Yep.
And if they are unable to move on from how close they came to losing to Detroit last week, if they're unable to completely move on to Carolina, they're gonna get beat, and they're gonna get beat really bad. And that all comes down to Zimmer. And I want to express this so clearly. I want nothing but the best for Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman and all those guys, because the best from them means the best for all of us. But I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen him prove that he can do that. So why should I start believing right now? Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. I like your score way better.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't even mind, something far better than what you said. So
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that the Vikings just shut out everybody but themselves, and they come out really aggressive, and they, like you said, just freaking shove it down their throats, and they don't let up.
All right. Because I think we got the talent. It's just, the coaching is not holding a leash on them. But just like to finish, like if we do lose this game, like I don't know. My confidence on this season goes a lot downhill just because of the schedule coming up after the bye week.
Oh.
I don't know if we can. I don't know if it's going to be able to be enough to rebound.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, and I'll give you that. Like I'll give you the little answer of I agree. That's as far as I'm gonna go though, because I don't want to get too into it. Hey, like the players, week by week. We'll get into it next Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll have the bye week episode next week. We're gonna have to talk about that insanely tough schedule. But yeah,
we'll get into it. Trust me. So that'll be fun. For that's the end of the Vikings talk. So if you were just here for all of the Vikings stuff, you're not going to miss anything from this point. Thanks for listening. But Tyler,
right.
As always, floor is yours, buddy.
Right.
Games around the NFL. Give me a couple.
All right. Well, let's start backwards this week. I'm going to start on Monday Night Football this week. Ooh. Usually we start with Thursday, but Monday was last night's game. It was a very good Monday Night Football game, so that's why I want to start with it first. Change it up a little bit. We had the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Baltimore. The Ravens a 4-1 after this one, 31-25 final score in overtime. Lamar Jackson, I don't even have words to describe his play in this game. He had some fumbles. He struggled early, especially in the first half, but that second half was absolutely insane, man. Lamar Jackson, some of the things that he does on the field is it's not human. It's I can't describe it. He's like a superhero or something. 37 of 40 for 43, 442 yards and 4 touchdowns. That people NFL Twitter and stuff describing this guy as a running back. A running back doesn't put up 442 yards, people. This guy's not a running back. Stop with the running back memes on Twitter and all that. Lamar Jackson's not a running back, people. Wake up. He's one of the best quarterbacks in this league. It's just the dual threat ability that he has is so phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought Indianapolis had this game over in the bag. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I thought Indianapolis had this game in the bag. Carson Wentz actually looked pretty solid, and then it just went all downhill in Carson Wentz typical fashion. I feel bad for the Colts, but it's you shot yourself in the foot a lot, especially late. Rodrigo Blankenship. I love Rodrigo Blankenship, but man, I feel terrible for him as well. Just those kicks. Oh, he was hurt, but
especially especially when you find out that he's dealing with a hip injury. To what extent we don't know, but yikes.
Yeah, that's rough. Mark Andrews absolutely had a phenomenal game, showing he's one of the best tight ends in this league.
Turned it on in the second half too.
Yeah, this might have been the best Monday night game of the year, which coming into this game, I thought the Ravens had this game on lock. And then watching the game, I'm like, well, the Colts have it on lock. And then, nope, I was wrong on both my takes before this game and during the game, So, that's what you want in a Monday Night Football game. You want a good football game on these primetime games. This is a battle. It was fun to watch. The Ravens are proving that they are right now the best team in the AFC North. So, yeah, good game right there. But let's go to Sunday Night Football then. I'm going backwards. This is not the way we usually go, but we're going to start with the Buffalo Bills. We're going to go with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, 38-20 final score. Josh Allen proving that he is a top 2 quarterback in this league yet again. 315 yards, 3 touchdowns against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the team that they're trying to climb up to and beat, and they prove that they can do it. The Bills are literally just proving everyone that they are now the best team in the AFC, and I think they are. I
actually have to agree 100%. I think if you have the choice between a 2-2 Kansas City team and or 2-3 Kansas City team, and 4-1 Bills team, you're obviously going to go with the Bills team. The Bills have looked good on defense and on offense.
Right.
Kansas City has like the 32nd ranked defense, I think, right now in the league.
They do.
Their defense is terrible.
Yeah. Like I don't get how it's been this bad. I mean, their corners are playing bad. Was it? No, it wasn't Chris Jones. Somebody was out last night. I mean, actually, it was Chris Jones. Yeah, Chris Jones was out, so they didn't have like any pass rush at all. Right. So I mean, like Kansas City's defense is it's just been terrible. Their offense just can't keep up, man. I mean, the Bills,
which is insane to say, right? When you're talking about the Kansas City offense, like the one offense that I would probably put money on to keep up with any bad defense would be Kansas City.
It's just because of their team not playing complementary football, though. Right. Their defense is holding them back so much that their offense can't even compete. So, sucks for the Chiefs, but the Bills, man, they might be the favorite right now. This team could easily be 5-0 if they didn't put up a clunker against the Steelers in Week 1.
Yeah, but geez. Remember when we all thought after Week 1 that the Bills were bad?
Yeah, we thought that about the Packers as well.
Well, Packers are still. Well, you'll get into it, right? Aren't you? Is that the next game, maybe?
No, I want it's the last one. We got this game. But I wanted to get into the Browns and the Chargers though as this next game because this probably was actually it's a top 2 game of the week in my opinion. The Cleveland Browns went to LA this week to play the Chargers, and I mean this was a shootout. This was like a college football type game. It was fun to watch though. I mean, the Chargers, Justin Herbert, like so many quarterbacks are playing at such an elite level, and then there's just quarterbacks who are playing absolutely terrible. I feel like there's no like in between right now. It's just quarterbacks playing at an absolute elite level, and then there's quarterbacks at absolute bottom. Justin Herbert's proving that.
I'll give you that. I would say maybe like a Taylor Heineke is kind of in the middle there. I would say.
I would say more so the bottom.
Really?
With him.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. But like Zach Wilson,
No, fair enough. Yeah, very, very true.
I don't think Baker Mayfield's playing well. I mean, this was his best game of the season, but I don't think he's played well this season. Vikings game, he looked horrendous. But Justin Herbert's proving that he could be an MVP candidate right now by the way he's playing. I mean, as well as Austin Eckler, having him not injured and playing at a high level makes this Charger team even better. Like the Chargers showed glimpses of like them being a really good football team last year. It's just them choking in the last like 2 minutes of a game, which they did every single week last year. It seemed like this year this team was learning how to win. And I like how Justin Herbert, he actually said that in a post-game interview. This team, they're finding ways to win. That's what you got to do in the NFL. The last like 2 minutes of a game, this team's playing a lot better. And it shows with the leadership. Anthony Lynn's not there. Brandon Staley's doing a great job with the Chargers. And this team's a threat. It's gonna be them in Kansas City, in my opinion. It's a 2-horse race. And I mean Denver maybe, but I mean I like the Chargers and Chiefs. I mean the Chiefs are gonna bounce back in my opinion, but a lot of season left, man. A lot of season left. The Chargers though right now, at this moment, are the favorite in the AFC West. At this moment, they are. But a lot of season left. And then this final game, man. Actually, I don't even
So go back to what you were saying about Green Bay there, because
I don't want to talk about this game.
Just what is the last game? This is your segment, so you go ahead and introduce it.
It's pain actually. The Green Bay Packers beat the Cincinnati Bengals, my second team, 25-22 in overtime. The Vikings lost to the Bengals in overtime, so this makes this game even more frustrating. The Packers beat them 25-22. Kickers just didn't even I don't even know what happened to kickers in this game. Like what was that? Like Mason Crosby he wasn't being Mason Crosby anymore. It just disappeared, he misses that. He misses an extra point. He misses the field goal to win the game. Then he misses one in overtime. Doesn't he miss another kick? I think he misses 4. I don't know. It's crazy. And then Evan
missed 5 back-to-back field goals for the first time ever since 91. I think in the last 2 minutes of regulation and overtime.
And then Evan McPherson comes from 57 to win the game. I'm sitting there and I'm like, he's going to hit this because, he made a clutch field goal against the Vikings. Doink off the upright. And I'm like, you can't be kidding me right now. Then we go to overtime. Obviously, Crosby misses that one, the chip shot. And I'm like, oh, my God, the Bengals are going to win this game. And then on a 4th and 1, the refs make a terrible spot. The Bengals clearly got the first down, in my opinion. It's a 4th and 1. They should have went for it, in my opinion. But they don't, of course. The Bengals put out the kicking unit. From 49, he hits the freaking flag on the top of upright. And I'm just sitting there like, well, here we go again. The Packers are going to win another game off a miracle, some garbage, and they find a way to win. I mean, that's what the Packers do. They find ways to win games. That team's just, it's crazy. I mean, the refs didn't hand them this one, but I mean, it sucks. I mean,
Yeah. So the only thing that I'll say about this, the Packers didn't win this game so much as the Bengals lost this game. Just like, and the reason I say this to any potential Packer fan that's out there listening right now and being like, I'm going to light you up on Twitter. It's the exact same thing as Arizona didn't beat the Vikings week 2.
Right.
The Vikings beat themselves.
Right.
Vikings lost that game. So, yes, you drive down and get the game-winning field goal, but you also have the most, one of the most automatic field goal kickers in Mason Crosby ever. And the only reason that he had as many chances as he did is because you're the Green Bay Packers, and apparently you just get all the luck in the world when it comes to the opposing team. Like, the Bengals should have put you away. Not to mention, the way that Green Bay has played in some of the games. I think the Bengals are much better this year than they were last year.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that this Green Bay team was going to beat this Bengals team by like 14 points, not go into a field goal match in overtime, and it end with, I can't even remember. It was only like three some minutes, I think, left on the clock in overtime.
Yep. Right? It was 3 some minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the game just had such like 20, was that 2018 when we played Green Bay, the Carlson? Was that 2018?
Oh my God, that was horrible. Yes, that was 2018.
This game just was basically, I just had flashbacks after the missed kicks of the Daniel Carlson debacle in Green Bay from 2 years or 2018. It was just like, you can't make that up. You really can't make stuff up like that, and it's unfortunate. The Bengals could easily be 4-1, but I don't know. It sucks. It sucks, man. Yeah, but it is what it is. It's the NFL. Man, you got to move on. It's a week-to-week thing.
Absolutely.
So, throw that week in the past, man.
But this also shows you Green Bay is not invincible. So
no, they're beatable. Any team here is beatable, man. It's just them getting that lucky is frustrating. But you got to move on.
That's right. But what I mean is that as a Vikings fan, that has to be something that you kind of like to see. I do not mean to hijack your segment because we're not going to talk about a game here. But I think I would also be remiss to say, as a Raiders fan.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Screw Gruden. I am at a loss for words at how angry I am with John Gruden. I think that I truly speak for a lot of Raiders fans, if not all Raiders fans, when I say that the things he said do not at all represent the Raiders, the NFL in general, the locker room that he was in charge of. That is not the type of culture that people who love this sport agree with. And I am disgusted that he was in charge of an NFL football team, let alone a favorite NFL football team of mine. Excited to see what Rich Bisaccia, I honestly don't know how to say his last name. What he's going to bring, special teams coordinator, as the new interim head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Guy that's probably really close with the majority of the players on the team, as a special teams guy. So excited for that. But I don't know. I just felt like that was something that needed to be addressed, especially since we're talking about stuff all over the NFL. Obviously, we completely say to hell with John Gruden and everything that he stands for. That is not even close to what this is.
That's just the type of culture the NFL is trying to get rid of at the moment, and you can't tolerate any of that kind of stuff, any kind of behavior like that. So shout out to the Raiders for making the move. I mean,
yes, exactly. 100%.
It had to be done. So, yeah, good for them.
Absolutely. That is going to be the end of this week's episode, though. So thank you all so much for tuning in. If you like the podcast and you're watching on YouTube, make sure to give a like. Hey, put a comment down there too. We like to respond to those. if you're listening, support the podcast in any way, shape, or form that you can. Tell your friends, tell your family. We have all of our other episodes archived on our website, www.vikeswithamike. So we will see you there. Next week, it's going to hopefully be a fun one.
Big
Going
tilt.
to Carolina, big time tilt to get back up to 500 and then go into the bye with hopefully quite a bit of confidence.
Right.
I'm super stoked about it. I know that my score prediction was not good for us, but
Hey, man.
honestly, going to be rooting for him to the end.
Yep. I mean, I was 50-50 on this game, man. I'm with my predictions. I was gonna go Carolina. This was probably the toughest game. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. And that we've come up to so far is definitely as far as predicting the score. So thank you guys again so much for listening. We always appreciate everything. Look for us next Tuesday, and then after that, it's gonna be a fun time.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the rest of the season.
Oh,
Thank
man.
you guys so much. As always, skol.